So this is a weird topic only because Nintendo hasn't been extremely transparent when it comes to the Nintendo Switch Online service, in particular when it comes to the classic game service on there, which right now is NES games. In fact, as of today, we still don't know what new or if any new NES games will be arriving in January. And while they've touched upon and briefly mentioned about how SNES games could be coming to the service, could be, not 100% confirmed as of yet, mostly an assumption. It's interesting because it appears the classic systems, the NES Classic and the SNES Classic, are going to not be restocked. So when they sell to stock this holiday, that's it. They won't be coming back. And Reggie Fils-Aimé clarified in the past that we would not get an N64 Classic, which, despite the rumors, despite all that, I don't know. I think there's still going to be an N64 Classic, but Reggie Fils-Aimé is really, really pushing us hard to believe, at least, that there's going to be this renaissance of classic games on the Nintendo Switch Online service. Here's what he told Hollywood Reporter in an interview. He said, "There's no ability for add-on content with our classic consoles. So when you purchase the console, it's coming with that set roster of content. We worked very hard for both the NES Classic and the SNES Classic to really have the best games that define that generation. We said that the current systems are the extent of our classic program. We've also been clear that, at least from the America's perspective, these products are going to be available through the holiday season, and once they sell out, they're gone, and that's it. The way that consumers will be able to continue to participate with our classic content is going to be through Nintendo Switch Online. And we just released 3 new games, Ninja Gaiden, Wario's Woods, and Adventures of Lolo, from the NES generation onto that platform. We look at that as the main way that consumers will be able to experience that legacy content." Now, in the past, as far back as E3 this year, Reggie Fils-Aimé did mention that the Nintendo Switch Online service is kind of Nintendo's replacement for Virtual Console. The problem with that concept is not only are the games not sold individually, even as a service, a $20 per year service, forget the multiplayer, just as a service, it feels lacking. Having only NES games, only 3 added per month when we used to get 3 to 6 per week, not having SNES games, not having N64, not having GameCube, which has never happened. What about Wii and DS and 3DS and GBA and Game Boy and Game Boy Color? There's so many games to put in a classic library. And while I do not doubt that Nintendo is going to expand their games in the future, there's going to be more NES games and more than just NES games. We will have Super Nintendo games. But the thing is we're getting 2 years into the Switch's life cycle, right? Probably at best, at least the current Switch generation, there's 4 years at best left, giving us a 6-year generation for Switch. And that's fantastic, but if we're 2 years in and we're still have a handful of NES games, and even if they add SNES next year, how long is it going to take it before we even have something that approximates what the Virtual Console used to be, just in terms of the content it offers on Wii U, let alone on Wii, DS, or 3DS. What we have to remember is every single time, every new system that has come up for Nintendo, they have rebooted Virtual Console, made you repurchase the games again, sometimes at a discounted price. Sometimes you can port the games over and then rebuy them later for a discounted price. Hello, Wii U. But in general, you've had to rebuy the games over and over and over again, and the actual Virtual Console itself rebooted, as in, instead of coming back with all the content the previous Virtual Console had, no. We have to start with a select limited amount of content for different platforms and then slowly trickle out more and more games. The problem is the Nintendo Switch Online service is trickling out those games even slower. And I understand they're adding online functionality and all this stuff, and that's great, but if that's going to make it so the trickle-out effect of these games is this slow, is it really a true replacement for Virtual Console? Is it even a true replacement for the classic systems? Right now, for $60, the NES Classic's a better deal than the Nintendo Switch Online. You own the games, you have them forever, and you have the best games, or at least a selection of the best games on the NES. Same for the SNES Classic, which is an even better deal because guess what? You go with the SNES Classic. You get a game that has never previously released in Star Fox 2. A game that, as of yet, Nintendo has never said it's going to release anywhere else. So, I'm I hope this isn't the end of the Classics line. I understand if it's the end of the NES and SNES Classic line. Those were obviously going to be limited time deals. Yeah, maybe a decade from now they bring them back out again just because it's been a while. And I do think an N64 Classic is going to come at some point. I think a Game Boy Classic makes a lot of sense as well one day. I don't know if they'll go as far as a GameCube Classic, although I think there is definitely a way they could do that. It would just be a little pricey. You're talking like $150, hopefully with a good selection of games, but I don't know if we're ever going to get that far. I think topping out at $100 for an N64 Classic is probably the most that Nintendo would be willing to do, but still, I gotta say that as much as I'm a little sad that the NES and SNES Classic are no longer going to be, restocked, which we all knew it was always supposed to be temporary. But this idea that the Nintendo Switch Online service is supposed to replace not just those classic systems, but also Virtual Console, I don't have faith. And maybe this is a me problem. Maybe I should have faith that Nintendo's going to come through. But when I've seen how they've handled Virtual Console in the past, rebooting everything, and by the time you finally get an approximation of what the last Virtual Console library was, you're on to the next system. And that's the thing. Even if we get to N64 games on the Switch in 3 or 4 years, by then we're already looking forward to the next system. And how do we know they're not going to reboot it again? So I'm just left in a situation where Nintendo's not communicating very, very well about what the plans even are with this classic stuff, right? And you can say, well, Reggie is giving us the plans, right? He's communicating right now. He's telling us this is the Virtual Console replacement. But they're not telling us a roadmap or any concept or idea of how this service is going to evolve over time. Normally, it'd be like, look, for now you're going to get NES games. Next year at some point, we're going to add SNES and N64 in. We're going to increase the release of 3 games per month to 10 games per month across various different platforms, blah, 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 with the goal to eventually have this service match prior Virtual Console shops or go above and beyond. See, that to me is a roadmap. That's a plan. That's communicating to the people you are asking for a leap of faith to get their money from right now. But Nintendo's not communicating. They're just saying, you don't need the classic systems anymore. You don't need Virtual Console anymore. Nintendo Switch Online is going to replace all of it, without telling us how it's actually going to replace it, without giving us a roadmap or a concept or an idea. At least we knew when Switch came out that there was going to be a paid online service. Now we don't even know if 100% for sure there's going to be SNES games on this thing, or if there's going to be N64 or GameCube, or we don't know anything. We don't know anything about this service other than we were getting 3 games a month for NES from October through December, because they haven't even announced 3 new games for January. That's all we knew about this service. Spend $20, get the privilege to buy NES controllers, to play a package of 20 NES games plus 3 new ones per month through December. Got to do better than that, Nintendo. I do think there is a plan internally for how you want to handle this new Virtual Console replacement, but you have to communicate that plan. You have to let people know. Part of ensuring customer loyalty is to let the customers know there's going to be more and more coming. Like when there's big changes happening on, the PlayStation Network or Xbox Live or Steam, like consumers get to test out those changes and are aware of those changes for a long period of time. They are transparent with their consumers. And all I'm asking Nintendo, all I'm really asking is, I don't care that you're canceling the classic systems, and I care partially if an N64 Classic doesn't come, but you know what? That's your prerogative. That's you leaving money on the table. I think that the biggest issue I have is you're just not communicating to consumers about what your roadmap is for this Nintendo Switch Online service. Are there going to be game discounts in the future, like you promised in the past? Are we eventually going to get the ability to add people into, set up basically play dates with our friends, like you promised this service would offer over a year ago, before it was even delayed to this year? You promised that was going to be a thing, and now it's gone. So how about, if that's not going to come, explain why we're no longer going to get that. What complications came up? What snag did you realize along the way that said, you know what, this doesn't fit, this doesn't work? Because that was supposed to be the key feature of that Nintendo Online app on my phone. Not the voice chat, not the ability to not be at home, not have my Switch with me, but be able to set up play sessions for later that night with my friends on Nintendo Switch. That was like a massive feature I was actually looking forward to, and it wasn't communicated. why it's not here. Why that was supposed to land last year, and here we are a year later, and we still don't have it. We still don't have all the features you promised would be here when the system launched, despite a full year delay. So again, I'm not here to just sit here and rag on Nintendo Switch Online on the whole. I don't agree with playing for online multiplayer, but I do think that if this is Nintendo's plan, as Reggie keeps saying it's their plan all year long, at least from June forward, it's been, this is going to be the virtual console replacement, this is going to replace the classic systems, blah, 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 blah. This is how you're going to consume classic content on Switch. They have yet to provide a real roadmap on what that's supposed to look like to us paying consumers. Because remember, people act like, oh, free NES games. It's not free. You paid to access them. It's just like saying, I pay for a Netflix subscription, so all the content on Netflix is just free content. Like, no, you paid to access it. You are paying money to access this content. So we at least need to know how this content is going to be delivered in the long haul. See, we know this for the other platforms, but we don't know this for Switch. So I honestly think that I'm okay with the classic systems going away. What I'm not okay with is repeatedly beating into our heads that this Nintendo Switch Online service is supposed to replace all of our classic concerns without actually addressing any of the actual concerns your paying consumers have over the release of classic content. And remember, folks, this is in wake of the fact that Nintendo, their prerogative, has gone after legally big ROM sites and forced other ROM sites to basically remove ROMs from being easily accessible on the internet, giving people even less access to classic library of Nintendo games. So you took away all of the illegal methods, or you're trying, I shouldn't say they took all of them away. There's always a way. It's the internet. But they took away a lot of the easier methods for people to play these classic games illegally. For a lot of these classic games, it's hard or extremely expensive to get a hold of them and a working classic system to play them on, let alone being compatible with today's TVs. So it's really hard for people to play the original versions of those classic games. So you got rid of the illegal methods. The legal method of buying secondhand and owned products isn't exactly reliable and is extremely pricey. And on top of that, you got rid of the delivery method you already had, replaced it with a new one that's worse with less content. I'm just concerned. And the thing is, I'm not someone who overly cares a lot about the classic library of games outside of game preservation purposes, but I am someone that fully believes if you're going to keep touting that this thing actually replaces services you've offered that are better, then this service damn well better get better than what there used to be, or better than even the classic standalone class. Oh, the classic systems can't be updated. Well, that was a choice you made for starters, Nintendo. You could have let them be updated, but that's besides the point. Your online service as it is right now, even fully updated, is not better than those classic systems. And that's a problem you need to worry about, Nintendo, and that's a problem you need to communicate to your consumers about. Anyways, folks, you guys let me know what you think about this down in the comments below. I am Nathaniel Ovajans from Nintendo Prime. We are giving away a Nintendo Switch Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Bundle through a Gleam.io link down in the description. I hope you enjoyed this video. Subscribe for more content. Smash that bell icon so you get notifications, and I will catch you in the next one.